Welcome to the Sarah Scoop Show. It's time to get the scoop with Sarah.
I am Barbara Gregusova, and I do costume design for When Calls the Heart. I did all past six seasons, so since season 3. I mean, I knew about the When Calls the Heart when it came to Vancouver, like the first time, like the series, and because I always loved like period costuming, right? So that's something I always wanted to do. I was just like, oh, I would love to do this one. But I didn't really had in with Hallmark, and I didn't know the producer of When Calls the Heart, right? So I didn't really know who to approach, and I didn't really even try or anything like that. And then they had somebody different for season 2 to design the show. And then season 3 came around, and I got a call, I would say kind of like sort of last minute. I was doing a Hallmark movie at that time, and so I just got a call and that they are looking for a costume designer for season 3, and if I would be interested. The show I was on was very, let's call it, intricate, so I wasn't sure if I could fit Then Calls the Heart into like my at the time current that schedule, right? So I kind of wrote an email where I sort of declined the offer, but I left the window open that, if you want me to design it, I can figure out how to make it work with my, schedule, right? So they called me back and they invited me to meet one of the producers. So I met Greg, and he talked to me for like an hour and a half. And basically, I mean, they kind of were like, we want you. Do you want to do this sort of thing? And usually you have to go through like the approval process, like from the network. But I did some other projects before that for Hallmark Channel. And basically then he took me to the other room where was the Vicky, the other producer. And they kind of were like, oh, now we have to go through the approval process. And Vicky just said like, it's all good, she's approved. So it was just kind of very quick, really quick thing. I think the whole process took like 3 days. So yeah, I don't really know how it worked out after that though. So it's funny because like I don't really remember how I dressed the season 3, which is funny because it was like very, like time challenging, I would say. But like I got like kind of notes from the network that they wanted me to go between 2 seasons. So they wanted me to be inspired by the first season, which was very historically accurate. And then the second season was more modern, right? So they kind of wanted me to find a way how to go between those two and sort of like create like a new look for the season 3. So I kind of went through every piece of wardrobe which each character had, and I decided which will work, which will not. And then also Hallmark had some notes for certain pieces which they liked or didn't like. Then I got some certain other notes from like other crew members, like what could work. And there was some issue with the sound, with the corsets, and like little notes like that. So we had to reinvent the corsets for like Elizabeth and Rosemary because there were some issues. And then obviously like the season 2, Rosemary was pregnant, so all her clothes like which I wanted to reuse, we had to adapt to now not being pregnant because I mean she wasn't pregnant on a show, right? But she was actually pregnant in real life during season 2. So we basically certain pieces we reconstructed to now accommodate her not pregnant body. And then like every year I kind of try to improve the wardrobe for all the characters. So like each time when I do a fitting with Erin, we basically go through every piece of wardrobe which we have from previous seasons, and we eliminate what doesn't work anymore, or like sometimes certain pieces like change while you wash them, or you have to get them dry cleaned or anything like that. So you just want to make sure like everything fits as it's supposed to, and if it doesn't, then it basically goes away, but we still have it. You just don't see it on a screen. So we don't throw anything out. Like it's still, on a special costume rack, don't use costume rack. So yeah, but I kind of do it with like all the characters. And then based on the scripts, like let's say like if you need like a special dress or, like anything new. So that's how their wardrobe kind of evolves. Well, I have like a small team of people I work with. But I mean, let's say if there is like for the backgrounds, if we have something specific, I get involved. Like, like when we have, like certain like scenes, we had like, everybody has to be more dressed up, or, like we need certain uniform, or, like pieces like that. Then I get involved. Like when it comes to like day-to-day basis, like when they are wearing like a regular clothes, we basically have a background costumer. So that's Martin. And he takes care of that. And then I have also my assistant who also did set supervising, who is also another Martin. So who is also my dad. And yeah, so like usually the two Martins work together on a background in the mornings when necessary. And then I only step in when I really have to. Yeah, so like for example, for the background, like they are the only characters for which we actually rent costumes. So so I usually go with Martin to, like we use actually Beverly Wojcik. So she actually has a great stock of period costumes, and we choose like, usually it's like sort of the similar for, which we choose every year. Like it changed over the years, or it changes like based on the weather, right? Like because certain years we are starting in summer, and certain years we are starting in September when it's cold. So based on that, like we choose the wardrobe we are going to use for the background. Well, I think that's a hard question, because I think like to dress every character, there is something, special about them. Like, and there's also like little challenges, because like, for example, like first I was thinking about kids, because I really love like dressing like children, because like we are usually like for the girls, we always build lots of costumes. So all the dresses are built. And for the boys, we were lucky enough to find pieces actually in stores. So Zara was very helpful over the years. And then like I find like the kids to be fun, because like there's not that many restrictions in a way, I guess. I mean, Rosemary is lots of fun. We found some really unique pieces for her too. And then like there was this red coat she wore for like the Christmas episode, and then I found like a matching fabric for it, and we built like the skirt to match it, so it actually looks like the outfit came from the same fabric, but it actually didn't. So there is lots of like, like you kind of are finding different ways to make it work in a way. And I mean, for Erin, we always do like, I find something and I love the fabric, and like I like the fabric of the piece I found in a store, but it doesn't really fit what we need to do. So it's kind of like this whole reconstruction project, which we call, like I call it, or we started to calling it like little Frankenstein projects, because basically if you would take a picture of her, she has pins everywhere, because you have to reconstruct the entire, piece which I found. And so, and then for Henry Gavin, let's say, originally when I call it like I inherited the show. So, so like he had the best suits on a show, right? Like all historically accurate, and they were custom built during season, I think it was season 2 or season 1, I'm not sure actually, unfortunately, but like he had really nice suits. And to find those suits, if you cannot really build them again because there is not enough money or time, I was lucky enough to actually find really cool website which carries like a period suits. So like, so then you are actually like looking at the website and you're like, okay, so which fabric can work for which character, because like like certain suit which will work for Henry will not necessarily work for Nathan, right? Or like Lucas has very specific style. So yeah, so it's kind of like usually about like the materials. I would say even for all the other characters, like even like if I find like a fabric for a skirt, sometimes I'm like, oh, it can work for this character. And then you try it on and it's like, oh no, it's more Clara. Or, like you kind of like when visually you put it on a person, you figure out like, oh, maybe it should go to somebody else. Or like a blouse we've tried on Erin and it ends up on somebody else too, because we realize it doesn't work. So for When Calls the Heart, I'm not sure if I should say this or not. So when I first did the season 3, I sketched an outfit, like from, like basically what you saw on my website. Like I sketched a dress and I got a note that it looks like a nightgown. So I was like, maybe that's not a good idea. So I found a different way to approach that. And now if we need to build something from scratch, I usually look like through historic like references, like through books, or like I find some pictures. Let's say we needed the bridesmaid dresses for, there were so many weddings going on, so now I have to make sure that I say the right wedding. So it was the Clara's wedding, I think. Yes, for Clara's wedding we needed the bridesmaid dresses, right? So I actually did the research, and I found like dresses which I liked, and then I sent pictures of those dresses for the approval to Hallmark, and then they approved them, and then I did, I needed to tweak certain things. So then I did like my rough sketches, which usually those sketches just go to my cutter. So who is my mother. So it's like the whole family. Yeah, so to my mom, Elena, and because she usually builds all the most intricate pieces. Yeah, so she is usually the only one who sees my sketches, and then she goes based on that. So I would say like when it comes to sketching on When Calls the Heart, it usually is very, let's call it maybe practical, or like where the seams have to go, where the lace is going, like it's very just for like constructive purposes. And yeah, and when I have to send something to Hallmark, then it's, yeah, I try to find like as close the visual, which was, it's in some book or something on real person, or sketched, like very detail-y, that they can understand what I'm kind of going for. Yeah, so I hope that helps. Well, I'm always thinking about it, because when I do fittings, I do, like when I do fittings, I usually do all my pinning. So like it's basically me and the actor, and I decide what I want to do with the piece, right? So I think it came from my mom, because my mom is a fashion designer. So, and then we have her twin sister is also a fashion designer, and my dad's sister is also a fashion designer. So I was always around, like fashion, like since I was basically born, right? So like my mom, she built all my clothes until I started to rebel. I was like, I think I was 10 when I decided to rebel, and I was like, I'm going to wear jeans now. And then I didn't want her to really make anything for me anymore. But yeah, and my dad, he actually studied photography at FAMU in Prague. So my dad and my mom, they had like a first Czechoslovakian kids magazine. And that was basically, there was like my mom, her twin sister, and one of their friends were designers for this magazine. And it was something similar like Burda, which I'm not sure if you are familiar with, but it's, Burda is more for like, adults, and there's patterns, and you can, make basically based on the patterns, whatever is in the magazine, right? So they did something like that when I was 5 years old, but for children's fashion. So I was kind of around it all the time. I'm kind of surprised I didn't swallow a pin when I was little, because, like my mom, she had her clients and I was around, but, like there was never any sewing accidents with me running around. So I think that's good. But I think I kind of picked up, like, I think because I just observed them from like early age, I think that's how I kind of picked up, like how the garments are supposed to work and how you have to pin them. Because definitely, like, if you would see me pinning, like I go to really, yeah, I alter everything basically. Like even on contemporary shows, like I want everything to fit properly. So yeah, like the pins are like my best friends, I think, sometimes. I have to, well, I don't have a Hallmark channel. We basically don't really have any channels. So I don't really watch them. I think I couldn't. I think I would be too critical. Like I know that Erin, if she doesn't like something, she will tell me. And I know that like she watches kind of everything. So if there is a problem, I will find out from her. But yeah, like yeah, I think I would be very critical of my work. I mean, I was considering and watching it like, you know, like didn't watch 6 seasons, which I designed costumes for of And Close to Heart. I saw like bits and pieces here and there, and sometimes I'm like, oh, they look so cute. Or, oh, that looks so good. Oh, the background looks great. And I'm just like, yeah, like, but I think if I would watch it, like everything, like I would just take it apart and then I would want to fix everything. So it's probably better that I don't watch everything. I don't know. I'm at every fitting. So, and then also like when my dad was on set, like a set supervisor, like if there was a problem with an outfit, he's like, send me a picture and being like, okay, you have to fix this, or yeah. So we kind of try to like, if there's a mistake, we try to fix it how we are shooting, right? So I just hope that it looks good at the end. It's funny because I was actually thinking about it yesterday because I actually connected with Charlotte, who plays Elizabeth's sister. So so actually she came to my wedding, and so like we did fitting together, and we kind of hit it off. It was almost like I never read Anne of Green Gables, but when I watched it, I know there was like that line of like kindred spirits. That's the one. So so I kind of felt like when I met Charlotte, like we kind of, like, because it's usually just me and the actor doing the fitting. So we kind of chat about certain things, right? And I saw her also on Bomb Girls, and I was really fan of that show. So so we became friends afterwards, and we are still in touch. We actually did a game night last night. So so that was really cool because, we cannot see each other. But we traveled to Europe together for like my wedding, and so I think she's probably the closest. Let's think about this one. I don't think I really realize it. I don't know. Like, I think it's different when you are kind of in the business, maybe. And also, like, I grew up in a fashion business. So, like, it's not just the work, right? But it's like maybe I just look at it differently. Like, I think it's amazing that like the show has so many fans, and, they are called Hardys. And, like, and everybody, there is like teams Nathan and team Lucas. Like, I think it's amazing that something like that exists. I personally, I don't really follow it that much. I mean, I have my Instagram, and I have a Twitter, which I started because of the show, because I was asked, I think, by somebody from Hardee's if I can start Twitter. So I'm like, okay. So I don't think I would probably have one. I don't really use it though. I don't use the Twitter. I kind of prefer Instagram. Like I prefer the pictures more. If I would have to write something, it would take me forever. But I think it's really great, and I mean it's very family friendly show, right? So I think that's kind of nice to watch because there's so much like drama going on, and like there even like me right now, like if I want to put something on a TV, I kind of prefer to watch something, like let's call it chill or friendly, or there is a romance. I started watching Aaron's movie, the most recent one today. So so I think like sometimes you just need like the feel good movies or series. So I think that's, and I mean, like I think it's really nice when you get comments how like the fans love the costumes, and and they're so excited, and they have all these questions, and sometimes I do have an answer and sometimes I don't. I mean, like the costume design part, I would say, as I said, like because I have very artistic family, so I think that part came very naturally. Like when I was trying to decide which university I want to study, I had like three options because at that time we were still in Slovakia, and in Slovakia the school system is a little different than in Canada. So you have to have options, right? Because I wanted to study jewelry design, and they only were accepted 4 people for the program, and it goes like, and you have to do like a 3-day entry exams, and so there is very low chance you can get in. And then the other option was fashion design in Vienna because I was fluent in German, not anymore unfortunately. And then a third option was actually costume design, and in Slovakia you studied along with the stage design. So they were kind of like the three options which I always had. And then when we moved to Vancouver, or we were planning to, like, it's a long process to immigrate. So I immigrated basically with my parents. And I I kind of researched the schools which were available here. And originally I was thinking like studying fashion merchandising. And then somehow I found this program through a friend, and it was actually a textile program at Capilano University. And my dad was like, "Oh, like this is really cool." And I'm like, I don't think so. But then they said that they actually were doing, I think, because the Capilano University has also a costuming program. So I actually went to meet the teachers of the costuming program, like I think probably even the same week. They were like the open house or something like that. I think they were having, and I really, that was something what was like, okay, this is perfect. Um, like like I love textiles and everything, but like I always loved like creating clothes, and like I started sewing when I was 16, and that was the time when I was like, okay, like what everything I wanted to make for myself, I was making it, and my mom was just helping me. Um, and yeah, so I applied for the costuming at Kaplan University, and the process is much simpler. And I already had a portfolio from back home. And the one reason why I liked it was because they basically said you will not have time for anything else, just to study. And originally I didn't want to come to Vancouver. So it was like a perfect, because I'm like, okay, well, I cannot be with my friends. So this is kind of good reason to, not kind of be sad about it or something. So I basically for a year I studied full time. And I remember I went out twice in a year, and that was to buy I think shoes and a jeans or something like that. I don't know. Well, at the beginning, like when I started out, that was basically 2005. Like after my first year at Capilano University, I decided, well, I want to do what I want to actually do is costuming, right? And I want to work on movies. And at that time, to get into industry was like you had to volunteer a lot. So I basically did my first feature film like 3 months after I graduated the CAP, like the first year, and then I was just basic, because I knew I wanted to do costume design, and for me to do that I had to really collect as many credits as a designer as possibly I could. Like it wasn't really easy to you know get a job on actually paid show, right, at the time. Like the time which is now is so different from what it was when I started out. So yeah, so I volunteered a lot. My actually first paid job was in theater. So I love designing theater. If I could do that full time, I would probably do that, because in theater you can actually build everything. Like usually whatever show you do, you have to build the costumes from scratch. So in movies, like it has to be like, specific show when you get that chance. Um, yeah, so I started like, yeah, so the first job was paid was theater, and then slowly I was working my way up, and ended up doing a Hallmark movie and more Hallmark movies, and then some Lifetime movies. And at the same time I was doing like independent shows. But yeah, and then here we are today. I There is a book, it's actually Egyptian. So I kind of would want to do that one. But me and my husband, we want to produce this other project. It's basically called Little Witch. And so I think that's probably on my radar next, because we will have to build the costumes for that one. So I don't know how visually it's going to look yet, but I should probably start working on it soon, because like we had to option the book and that will start expiring. So we should kind of have a rush on that one. Kind of what I want to do, like it's something what I wanted to do since like 2007. And that's when I also met my husband, and we always wanted to produce projects together. But yeah, like he had like a motorcycle accident in 2010. So we kind of hit like 8 year setback. So we are now picking up. So we have, yeah, so The Little Witch, and that's, I don't want to butcher the name of the writer. So, and Elizabeth Bennet, I think I said it right. So yeah, so that's kind of like what I want to do next. Then I'm eyeing a few other books which I would like to option. And then we also optioned this other script, which is called Time Zero, which is completely different. But yeah, The Little Witch is for children. And I kind of love, like, I don't think there's enough children's stories. And It's something which technically you could watch on Halloween because it's about Little Witch. Yes, so I hope that is going to work out because it's a super cute book.
Thank you for watching The Sarah Scoop Show. Head to sarahscoop.com for more.